Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Emanuel Marakwe podcast. It's your host, Emanuel Marakwe-Ogu. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. Thank you so much, everybody who has liked, shared, and subscribed on our previous video. Please, if you haven't, now is the time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Promise to keep the content very enlightening, very fantastic, very fascinating, and also, very educative, right? Please share with your friends, invite them. Thank you very much. So today we're going to be discussing something a little bit different. We're going to be on the lifestyle aspect of our podcast, right? And I feel that this particular conversation is a conversation that, we should use in kicking off the lifestyle of an entrepreneur, or let me say, of a godly entrepreneur in Nigeria, right? It's a conversation that is more or less like the foundation or the bedrock of, every godly Christian entrepreneur, right? And an entrepreneur who actually has ambitions to achieve a lot. Now we're going to be talking about faith today, which is, I know, right, a little bit different from our regular business series. Yeah, faith. Now I know that some of you are asking, why faith? Why are we talking about faith? What happened to faith? What did faith do? No, none of that. But I'm talking about faith in terms of believing in God, right? Faith in terms of having faith, when they say, even as have a faith as little as a mustard seed, right? That kind of faith, that's what I'm talking about today. Now, faith is, permit me to read from Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, for by it the elders obtained a good testimony. Now, when we look at the concept of having faith, people just believe, oh yeah, I believe in God. Oh yeah, I trust He will do it. Oh yeah, but there are a lot of things that are, that come with that. Now, how does it even relate to business? How does it even relate to what we are doing? I know in one of our last podcasts, right, how to start a business, I remember saying vividly that I would advise you, you mustn't take the advice. I would advise you to always commit your business venture into the hands of the Lord before you start. It is very important to always commit your business venture into the hands of the Lord before you start. Now, why? Now, for reasons best known to you, you can say, oh, that's not necessary, right? But for me, right, I'd rather not do anything if I don't commit into God first. Do you understand? More like respect, giving Him the front seat and a couple of other things, right? Now, after you have done all that, that is not to say that there won't be situations in business that are a bit tough. That's not to say you won't find yourself in situations where you want Him to show up for you, to assist you, to help you, to do certain things. Of course, right? Those things are going to come. Now, but the question is, when those situations come, right, there and there is where He's testing your faith in Him. Now, before we go further into faith, right, it's important that we understand that there is something that fuels faith, which is belief. Now, see that word believe, hold it somewhere, lock it up somewhere. Now, because we're coming back to it, now belief is very important because you cannot have faith in what you don't believe in. Do you understand? Now, meaning that if I come and say, oh, I have faith in you, or I have faith in this thing, or I trust that this thing is going to come, it's because I believe in the fact that, either I've seen it work before, or I've seen something happen before, or I just know that, okay, this is what it is. Now, I remember a part of the Bible where it says, and Abraham believed, and it was counted unto him as what? Righteousness. Do you understand? Now, hold that thought somewhere in belief. Now, come back to where we are as an entrepreneur, right? Now, in order for you to be successful, to attain certain heights as a godly entrepreneur, right, you must work with God. Now, and there is no how you can work with God without faith in the picture. Faith is very important. As a matter of fact, one of the most important elements. And because I know that God is constantly going around the earth looking for faith, and wherever He finds it, He honors it. Very important. He's going around looking for who will have faith in me, who will have faith in me, who is going to believe that I can do this. And wherever He finds it, He honors it. Now, let me tell you a story that a lot of us know. It's about Peter and his brethren, the disciples of Jesus, and when Jesus was walking on water. Now, when Jesus came, standing there on the water and beckoned on them, he called all of them out, right? He said, come. But guess what? It was only Peter that had the mind to go. Only Peter responded to that call. Now, see that thing I told you about belief, right? Bring it back. Peter believed that the person who is calling me is the master. Do you understand? Oh, master. Careless not that we perish. You know, he has been following Jesus and he knows that, okay, Jesus has the power to do what he says he can do. Now, if this same person who is the creator of the universe is telling me, come, okay, why don't I convert? He's very like, Peter, are you sure? What's going on? Why are you moving? What's happening? This, that, a couple of other things. But then, knowing who Jesus is, right, he believed. Now, the belief fueled the faith, and then he took the step. Because now, very important, believe, faith, work. Faith without work is what? You know. So I'm not going to go into that. But bottom line is, some people are happy, but you don't lift the fingers to do anything. Nah, that's not what I'm discussing here today. Do you understand? I'm saying, even in the midst of where the situation doesn't look like it, like how Peter was faced, you know, humanly possible, you cannot walk on water. The decision might be saying one thing, but God is saying, are you going to look at that situation, or are you going to look at me? Who are you magnifying? The problem or me? The situation or me? The issue or me? Do you understand? And you and I know better what to magnify. Do you understand? Because our God cannot be insulted. Again, for godly entrepreneurs. Now, you remember, if you recollect that story, that as soon as Peter stepped into the boat, stepped out of the boat, right, into the water, he started walking on water. Why? Why did that happen immediately? Because at that point in time, he had believed. Do you understand? His faith was there. And then he started going. He started walking. And if I recorded that he had walked a while, right? And then all of a sudden, it dawned on him again. What's happening? What's going on? I'm on water, everywhere, water. I'm in the middle of the water. Hey, I'm far from the boat. And then his faith shook. Immediately his faith shook. Guess what? He started to sink. But because he had shown faith earlier, God is a very merciful and loving God. You know, the Bible recorded that, Jesus helped him out of that situation. Now, this is where it becomes very interesting. This is where it becomes when I was looking at that story, it becomes very sweet. Now, after God saved him from drowning, how did they get back to the boat? Oh, you figured it out now, right? They walked on water back to where they were going to. Jesus did not back him. Neither did they fly. They were still in the middle of the water. And they got out of there. How? I know some of you will come and argue with me that, they sailed the boat to where they were and then they got in. Well, but I'm telling you for a fact that they walked on that water back to where they were. Because first of all, there's no adequacy because the disciples were in shock. As Peter said to everybody, hey, you see, when we're telling him not to go, shit, you see, now we're wiser. We that we did not go, we are wiser. But as soon as Jesus saved him, and he walked on water back to the boat, I'm very sure that at least for the next 2-3 months, all the disciples were like, Peter, tell us, when you were walking on water, how was water under your leg? How was it like? What was it feeling like? What was going on? Did you like it? You know, how? And all of them could have enjoyed that miracle and had that experience, but they missed it because they were not having faith. Sometimes all God is asking for is just have faith in me. Do you believe in me? Do you trust me? Do you know that I can do this? Right? When you started the business, you prayed to God. You said, God, please help me. I put this business into your hands. You know, prayers, you're telling God something. Now you've spoken to him, he has heard you. So why are you losing faith? Now, let's pause a bit. Let me pick up another story. Do you remember the woman in the Bible who her children had, they were at risk of being taken away by the creditors, right? Because she was in debt. Her husband had died. She was in debt. And then she came in contact with the prophet Elijah. And Elijah said, oh, go and gather drums and come. Do you understand? And then the drums eventually filled with oil. And then she sold it, got out of the debt and everything. Pause a bit. We all know that story as he told us when we were growing up, right? Now let's dissect that story a bit. Elijah came to her. Her and her children were at risk of, being, destroyed. Let's just say at risk of coming to an end, practically, because of the mess we were in. And then God sent his servant to give an instruction. Now, at that point in time, what really saved her was not because she went to go and gather, drums, or because Elijah was there. No, was faith exercised through work. Now, some of us, we find ourselves in certain situations. Situation gets bad, and then, we leave everything. Instead of working, we're just like, oh God, what next do I do? Hey, oh, chair, this person has called me. Hey, that person has called me. Oh no, this person has did this. Oh, and the God is just sitting there, they're looking at you like, what's happening? Now, that lady right there, I'm very sure the creditors were calling her, come and take your children. We're coming to, when I come here, that second one, I will bust his head. That one, I will sell it to slavery. You're a foolish woman. You're owing me. You are doing this. You're doing that. You're doing that. Yeah. But even in the midst of all of that, she kept her mind on what the instruction was, right? Now, somebody who had that level of psychological pressure was still able to go around, knock on the door politely, please borrow me. So obvious for us to have gone around to one, borrow those drums, right? She was calm and polite, because if I rushed, give me a drum, they won't give me. Because they're in your situation, what's the chance that she's going to return it? Do you understand? So it means, first of all, if you really dissect that story, she was calm. And she walked to her neighbors in the midst of that problem. Hi, neighbor. Oh, neighbor Emanuel, please. Do you have an empty drum? Please give me. Thank you. Oh, neighbor Paul. Oh, please, do you have an empty drum? Please, thank you. Oh, neighbor Peter. Oh, please, do you have an empty drum? Oh, neighbor Sarah. Please, do you have an empty drum? Collected those drums. And then when Elijah saw that she had collected those drums, the prophet saw that she had collected those drums and, put it in her house, then the miracle happened. Now, think about it this way. You have an issue, say maybe with a maybe small police station somewhere in some part of, say, Nigeria, right? Now, you go and meet the president of the country and say, oh, Mr. President, sir, please, I need your help. Oh, I'm having this issue with this police division in so and so place. They are threatening me. They're about to finish me. They're about to do this. They're about to do that. Help me. And then the president says, oh, go and tell them that it's sorted, that I said they shouldn't do anything to you. And then you go, and then you come back to, Mr. President, I know you have said it, what? They're angry, they're angry at me, you'll finish me, hey, At some point, I'm very sure the president is going to look at you and be like, who is this fool? Am I not the president? I've told you, go and tell them that I, the commander-in-chief, have told them to forget about the situation. Now, if human being can be like that, how much more God? The one who says the heart of kings are in his hands, and I turn it whichever way I please. Do you understand where I'm going to? So now, if there's anything you're taking away from this video, right, is that the lifestyle of a godly entrepreneur says something very simple. Believe in God, have faith in God, and let the posture of your mind, of your heart, and your work demonstrate that faith. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Some people say, oh yeah, I had faith, I believe God, and they're saying it, but somewhere in their heart, they're like, God, I don't know, this situation, how are we going to do it, hey, and then they're murmuring in their hearts, and they're complaining in their hearts, and then they're not, making the moves they're supposed to make because they are scared or something. God doesn't work in such situations. I'm telling you for a fact. Sometimes when he wants to do bigger things with you, right? You can take the likes of Cosmas Maduka, the likes of some entrepreneurs that we look at today, and then those guys are high flyers. If they tell you their work with God, if they tell you their faith with God, they tell you that lifestyle. Someone said the lifestyle cost, now you don't know. And the cost to us is faith, is belief. So are you going to pay the cost or not? Are you going to sit down there and begin to reduce the presence of God in your life, or are you going to magnify him above that situation? Because as an entrepreneur starting a business, you're going to come in contact with issues. You're going to come in contact with situations. You're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to need God to come through for you. And then sometimes when you're telling God, oh, commit more into my hands, I can do more, I can achieve more, he's going to test your faith, because he cannot work with somebody who he doesn't trust enough to believe in him that he's capable of doing it, and then have faith in that belief that he cannot fail. Do you understand? And then also demonstrate it through their works. Do you understand? So if there's anything you're taking away from this video, believe, faith, work. Believe, first the faith, and that faith, you carry it and demonstrate it in the posture of your heart and in the evidence of your work. Does that make sense? Right? So if there's anything as a godly entrepreneur that I want you to understand from this video or from this particular episode, and then some of you are asking, oh, why is the episode not so much about business? How to do this, how to that? This is the foundational secret. A lot of entrepreneurs are not going to come out and tell you that part of how they're able to conquer some battles, conquer some certain conversations, is because they prayed about it, as they've spoken to God, they believed in him, they demonstrated the faith, and then they went on in the light of that faith, marching on, believing that the one who sitteth in the heavens and the earth is his footstool is solidly behind them. I don't know why I'm led to share this, but I know that there's somebody out there who this is going to help, and who, because of this video, you're going to start seeing the world differently when it comes to faith, when it comes to trusting God, when it comes to understanding that he is actually capable of working with you as an entrepreneur and getting us to that, our desired goal. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Till next time we see.